I mean, I was shocked at how nice, how beautiful New York was, and how I remember it. I love New York. I would never live there again, but I loved it, man. I love walking by. And a guy like you, you're a young guy. You should be there. If you're a young person, move to New York, date, meet young people, get stabbed if you have to, take a bullet, gives you a little character, gives you a little story. But I'm telling you right now, I think the media has hyped this up. And this whole James Altucher, who I like, he's a sweet guy. He's like a bootleg Malcolm Gladwell. And I don't mean that to offend him, but he looks like Malcolm Gladwell. He's a big fan of this podcast, Altucher. He's a really nice guy. He's a fan of comedy. He's a comedian to some degree. He's a part owner of Stand Up New York, which is one of the worst comedy clubs in the country. And a place where every time I have to perform, I've considered blowing my brains out on the way there. Instead, I do it, and it's fine. I kid them, and I don't care about working there anymore. But I'm back in Governors. Love Governors. Thank you. We healed our wounds, and we're now back together. We're back together, and we'll do that with Stand Up New York too if they get, because I can sell little tickets now, so they'll be okay. It's a Mossad front. It is what it is. Thank you. Anyway, I did a New Year's Eve show there once, and the owner brought in like 3 tables of people, and they were eating food out of like big tins, and it's a Mossad front for weapons for the IDF. Anyway, moving on. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Anyway, doesn't matter. Altucher's a part owner of this business. Why? Because it's a scam, and he's like a Bitcoin guy, and he's involved in all kinds of different things, which I appreciate. His new thing's going to be like Doomsday Prepper. He's going to be selling, Doomsday Prep kits. Hey, you can run your business from your Doomsday hole, 10 tips for the modern business prepper. Dan's nervous because he wants to work these clubs, but I don't care. But James is a sweetheart of a guy, right? And he bought into this Mossad scam. And he does, like, every now and then he'll do a Bitcoin seminar in between 2 of the comics, which is very helpful for his show. I'll get up, do jokes, and then he'll come up and talk about Ethereum. So we're having fun. I'm sure he enjoys this. My job is my job, folks. So James bought into a Stand Up New York Mossad scam, and they just made the bartender the booker once. They just one of the Mexican guys that was wiping off the table. They go, "Now you book the club." He goes, "Oh, okay. Who? What? Okay, here is lineup. Godfrey. Tim Dillon. I don't know who is this. Laurie Kilmartin. Okay. You're the booker now. You wash the dishes. Now you book the club. Now you curate the entertainment for the audience. They just give the homeless guy across the street was the booker. You used to have to go and audition for him. He was blind. So he would have to, feel your face with his fingers. Anyway, so Altucher buys into this club, which is, and by the way, the New York Times, Jason Zinnemann, the writer for the New York Times comedy section, he still has a job. Amazing. Maybe the recession isn't that bad. Jason, who I like, who's been on the program, open invitation again, unlike Meg Wright at Vulture, who will not come on. I don't know why. I'm respectful to everyone. Come on, but she doesn't want to leave her apartment. She's cocooned in there with many cats. Don't know. But come on, let's talk. I don't even hate her. I don't like what she does, but I don't hate her. I like that archetype of woman who's like kind of strange and, but committed to her work. Like I like a monastery type of like just typing in. I'm like that. I don't have friends and things. I like what she's doing. Come and join me and we'll sit at opposite ends of the table and we'll talk about how our careers are our lives and our lives are horrible. Yes or yes, Meg? So Jason wrote this whole thing about how it's so great to do stand-up comedy in Central Park and, on the shores of the East River and in a cab. It's so nice. And Stand Up New York's producing a lot of these outdoor comedy shows now because when people just get out of a 4-month COVID isolation and they're laying in the park, what they really want is somebody yelling about their cock. That's what they want. They're just trying to be in the park with their family and they need some insecure psychopath babbling in the park. So James Altucher, part owner of Stand Up New York, who's on the avant-garde here and on the vanguard of all these new comedy experiences, curating all these comedy experiences in the park. James Altucher writes an article called New York is Dead, and it's never coming back. And people were very, very angry about that because Altucher, Very smart guy, knows what he's doing, a little bit of a troll, knows what he's going to do when he says New York's dead. What's going to happen? Who's going to puff up their chest? Some gazillionaire like Jerry Seinfeld. So Jerry Seinfeld, who is a legend, a king, whatever you want, he's great. It is what it is. Probably wouldn't love me, but wouldn't like my comedy. Maybe he would, don't know. So Jerry writes an article saying, hey, New York's going to be okay. It is what it is, and that's the whole article. I mean, there's more parts of it, but, it's not that funny, but it's fun. And it's Jerry going, hey, he goes, yeah, I've never been to New York. I have a house in Long Island, which is, is an estate in the Hamptons, house in Long Island. But whatever, he's allowed to say that, right? It is what it is. So everybody, so Jerry goes, New York's going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine. Shut the fuck up. And I saw him recently out here in the Hamptons, Jerry, and he was just pulling the masks off waiters and waitresses, and then deep mouth kissing them, and gender unimportant, and then kiss him, and then he would say, New York is back, bitch, and he'd say, open your mouth, and then he'd spit in their mouth. And I was like, that's the type of guy that I think is important to have. I think you need someone who's kind of tough like that and who's really has a passion for the city. I like that. I saw him hit a maid with his car, and he just said, New York's back, bitch, and kept driving. And that, I like that. But so Jerry got in the New York Times and just basically did a takedown of Altucher, and he called him a putz. I love Jerry Seinfeld insults. They're like from 1935. This guy's the putz. He's a louse. This look at this carnival barker. So Jerry's insulting this guy with Depression-era slang in the New York Times. I think Altucher responds in the Post. And it's just been a knockdown, drag out of rich guys who don't live in the city currently arguing about if the city's going to be back. And guys, the city is already back. It's actually doing fine. I mean, things aren't open. Things will open, but the city's doing fine. Yes, there is crime. There are problems. There are issues with the police, from what I gather. But the city itself is actually okay. So we have this tug of war between James Altucher at Stand Up New York. And of course, I kid Stand Up New York. I love you guys. I'd love to perform on a barge in the East River if you have my email. And you have James Altucher going at a legendary king of the Hamptons, Jerry Seinfeld. And it's a knockdown, throwdown fight. The two men are much more successful than your humble podcaster here. So all I say is, hey, it's fun. I want to write a third article called New York's Not Dead, but Let's Kill It. And it would be outlining the reasons to kill New York and how to do it. That would be the humorous take, which Jerry and Altucher decided not to be humorous in their articles, following the ethos of comedy right now, to be very serious all the time and make tiny little jokes, kind of. That's what we do, and that's who we give specials to, and those people become millionaires. But I would like to write an article called New York is Not Dead, but fuck me if I ain't going to try. Let's kill it. Here's how to kill it. And I would then just list, an 8-point plan or a 10-point plan about how to destroy New York City. I think that would be fun. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Probably not, but, we will see. But that's been a very interesting war that has been brewing in the comedy world. That is what the comedy world has been kind of talking about, and what it's bled out into. Anybody that's on Twitter, or really anybody that's in New York's probably come across one of those articles saying that New York is dead forever, and here's why. And Altucher made some good points. He said the internet speed allows you to conduct business wherever you want. So why the hell are you doing it in New York? And Jerry Seinfeld's whole point was that, which I thought was also a good point, he's like, where else can you kill a maid and then have it covered up in under 6 hours and have her body buried in the park? So both of them have a good point, and I think both of them should be heard. And by the way, guys, you are so welcome to come on the show. You're so welcome to come on the show, Jerry and Altucher and me. Just a couple of guys. Just a couple of guys that want the best for the fucking greatest city in the world, okay? And I'll rent a nice Airbnb. I won't be here in this Montauk surf shithole. I'm going to burn this place down. You got to be on ayahuasca to think this is a fucking nice place. I paid for luxury experience, and I didn't get it. And when I'm promised luxury and I don't get it, I squeal like a pig. I squeal like a pig, like a privileged, vindictive, petty little pig. That's a petty little pig. If you heard me squealing from a mile away, you'd go, that pig didn't get luxury. That pig was expecting luxury and didn't get it. What a petty little pig. And I'd go, "Arr!" I'd make a sound like that and I wouldn't stop. And they'd toss and turn in their beds and they wouldn't be able to sleep. And the kids would run into the rooms and the kids would go, why can't I sleep? There's this blood-curdling scream. And the parents would say, son, I'll tell you a lesson. You're going to learn a lesson right now. If you promise a pig luxury, you better deliver. Because if you don't, that pig will scream until that pig can scream no more. Do you understand that? Daddy, why is luxury so important to the pig? Well, the pig has little else, son. The pig likes the luxury. The pig likes the creature comforts. That is why pigs exist, to put themselves in situations where they can get creature comforts. And if they are promised these things and they don't get them, they believe that the entire world should be burned to the ground, son. Even our family? Yes. A pig who's promised luxury and not delivered it would watch you, your sister, me, and your mother burn to death without a tear in his eye. No emotion. Because a pig deserves luxury. I don't deserve fucking wooden benches with fucking a blanket over them. How dare you? How dare you? And I don't usually leave bad reviews on the Airbnb, but I'm going to write on Airbnb that this woman had Klan memorabilia in her house. I'm going to say that I was very uncomfortable by a room in her house that was dedicated to a history of the Ku Klux Klan, which her grandfather was in, and she was very proud of. She said, I'm very proud of my heritage. By the way, she texted me. She's like, the last people at a party of 6 people. It was a big deal. There was trash all over the yard. People left food out. Please don't be that guy. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not going to be that guy. I do the same thing in every Airbnb. This is my 2-week end of summer vacation. Then we'll be back in the studio next week. Every Airbnb, I sit in the backyard and I scream for several hours into a microphone. That is my job. The guy yesterday is like, I calls the cops. I'm like, it's my job, sir. My job isn't like your job to just go around and shoot people whenever you feel like it. My job is to communicate with the body politic, with the public. I have to speak to the public. It's not my fault.